Thank you for tuning in to Andronetalks Radio, gathering as one in our sovereign truth from a galactic perspective, exploring our world with new ideas, knowledge, and a promise of a better future. Galactic discussions for galactic-minded people. Andronetalks.
Hello everyone. I have a interesting situation that came up. I did a private session with an individual whom I've been doing sessions with for a while now, who resides in Detroit, Michigan, and this is the area where the androids were, and we've been discussing and talking about all different types of things on a personal level, and it came up to a point where he told me he went to his favorite breakfast place, Tim Hortons, and he had an encounter with this individual, this man who seemed very eccentric and different, and as we began to kind of look at it a little deeper, we recognized that he had some attributes of potentially being an android. And so, faced with that situation, I began by asking him questions. We recorded his session. So I did this in two parts. The first part is my interaction with him, and we're going to describe, this is during his private session, and then it will pause in between, and then we'll go into a follow-up, which is a week later, and we'll kind of go in a little bit deeper. We delve a bit deeper into this second part. So without further delay, I'll go right into our discussion. All right. So you go to Tim Hortons every single day.
I mean, I usually do. I didn't, Monday I made myself some oatmeal and didn't go out for breakfast like I usually. Okay. Yeah, normally every day I walk up there and get a couple of croissants and and sit there, and I interact with the people that work there, and every now and then people that are there. I see my neighbors that I walk past every now and then, and the male ladies and male men know me, because they see me every day. So, that's probably about the only human interaction I have just about every day. So
yeah. So regarding this guy, do you want to describe him? Is this guy you'd see at Tim Hortons for how long? How many months or?
I was seeing him. He would be sitting in the other side of the restaurant in like an area where no one else was, and he's sitting over there. He's like he's juggling things and picking up papers and looking at them, and talking to himself. He just looks like a crazy fucker. And so that was my impression of him. I didn't know anything and seek him out, but then we ended up in each other. He asked me for a secret. I think that.
Look at this one. We're getting some interference with the. Hold on a second. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Close the door. It's interesting when you started to describe him, everything got really hard to hear you. All right, so you said he's juggling, and you've seen him for how long?
Probably at least a couple months before we talked, and it was just it was crazy. And then when we started talking, it was like I was amazed that he was as well spoken as he is, and he says he's a teacher. He's got a bachelor's degree. He's a teacher. I don't think he's working right now, but he's talking about being a substitute for some school district in the area. But he walks everywhere. He doesn't have a car either, like me. So he's got like perfect teeth. I mean, and he doesn't stink like a homeless person. Normally, the first thing you notice about them when you get close to them is the smell of them. They haven't had a shower in who knows how long. And I'm not saying anything bad about him. It was unusual. He kind of stuck out, and he's just very friendly, and he never asks me for money. That's another strange thing. He does ask for a cigarette, but he's never asked for money. He's never begged for anything. And I've seen people in there that I could tell that were, very definitely homeless, like I'm talking about, and just hanging out there maybe to get warm or something, and didn't order anything. And I just walk up and give him a $5 or a couple bucks or something, and say, get yourself a cup of coffee, or and walk out. I don't stand there and talk to him. But with him, I've never given him any money, and he's never asked for any. So.
And usually he sits there with a glass of water. He said they let him in the restaurant, and he's in there. Did you ever see him eating any food?
No. And never
in a restaurant.
Yeah, I can't imagine, or I can't remember even really seeing him drink water. But I think that's the only thing I've ever seen him have on the table at a plastic cup of water. But I can't say I ever saw him drink it. So
Wow.
What are you picking up about this now? We were talking to some dude named NIM or something. That was his controller, or
yeah, he was. Well, we figured out that he was an android because you told him that you were going to talk to me about him.
Yeah.
And he said he thought it was interesting.
Yeah, he said he'd like to meet you.
Yeah, well, they don't usually have to see me in person, although, you never know who's going to show up.
But I mean, I was telling him about talking to you, and we spoke about that. That's pretty much the subject we talked about. The few times I talked to him, that would be the I would bring that up or something, and he seemed very interested in it, and he didn't really know too much of his history. And I just, after finding out that he's an android and that he works for the military arm of it, or it just freaked me out, man.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't gonna. If he was gonna hurt you, it would have already hurt you. And I think the thing with the androids that we found out is that if they feel that they like you, that you like them, then they're okay. If they pick up that you don't like them, then there's a problem. And in this case, you were open-hearted and sort of, were curious and interested in him, and he kind of drew your attention. He was, doing little things that were kind of extreme. And you noticed that nobody was really looking at him or talking to him, but, always a bunch of papers in front of him. And he said that he was an academic or a teacher of some sort.
Yeah. He's a he's a teacher, and he told me about all the losses he's had in his life. His mother's girlfriend died in an accident. He was in it too, and she died, and he didn't. And it sounds like he's been through a lot of. I don't know if he's just trying to get sympathy from me or what, but I of course gave him some because he's been, according to him, he's had a lot of loss in his life, and but he seemed like a happy person. He doesn't seem, I shouldn't say person, but I thought he was a person.
Yeah, but we believe he's an android. and you know, blending in over there and by Detroit, right? That Detroit becomes human.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, but you know, and there's two things here, two scenarios. It could be that as an android, they had some losses. I mean, some of the androids could have been destroyed in some way, and they've made them in such a way that they do seem to have an emotional factor there, a reaction to things that we would find sad or, you know, unhappy, or, you know, just have some kind of warmth to them a little bit that you wouldn't typically find in a computer or, you know, a cyborg. And well, I take that back because a cyborg is part human, but android, you know, you wouldn't assume that. So this is the confusing part, and how well they're blending in. And like you said, the glasses are strangely, I mean, not the glasses, the teeth are strangely perfect. And you know, he didn't have certain attributes that you would look for in a homeless person.
Right.
So he clearly wanted to connect to you. And the part we're trying to figure out is what he was looking for, possibly companionship and trying. Yeah, it could maybe some form of companionship and trying to blend in, and found you interesting because he was trying to get your attention, and you did respond to that.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I don't know if he was the one that initiated contact, you know, but I think, you know, one day he was sitting closer to where I sit, and I think that's how we ended up talking. You know, so maybe that was an action that he did, you know, because he said something about he saw me, he's seen me in there, you know. So you know, he acts like he doesn't notice anybody around him, you know. He acts like he's in his own world, and nobody talks to him, and he doesn't talk to anybody else. That's normally what I've noticed about him. And then, you know, he ended up getting closer to me, and I, you know, might have commented on it, said something to him, or, you know, because you know, I do talk to just about everybody, and you said before that I have run into at least 5 of these androids in that restaurant, besides him.
Yeah, that's what I was told. And but this one in particular wanted to communicate, and I did talk to Peter about him. And I said that not only were you interacting with this guy, but then as we were talking the last time we had a session together, someone came through who called himself NIM. And
Yep.
as I was looking at this guy, the NIM came through. I think maybe as a protector, maybe one that was over some of the other androids, and stepped in and had a conversation. And NIM is, instead of men, he called himself NIM.
Well, first of all, it was MIN, and then he changed it to NIM.
Yeah.
Because
So
I
it's
wrote
Min.
Min, and you know, that's what you told me. And then when we were talking to him, he said he goes by NIM.
Yeah. Instead of men, it's Min. So I guess that the I, or I don't know, it just changed the spelling there. So to identify and separate, differentiate themselves from humans, I'm assuming.
It sounded like there was some kind of rebellion going on with them, though. You know, like they're controlled by the powers that be, I guess, and that we're all in this slave system, and they're starting to feel, or they're becoming aware that they're also being used by these controllers that are controlling us, and that they're looking to there was Dominion Establishment Directive Slave Conquest or something I wrote down here, and that came from NIM.
Yeah, that was the Mobius, who are their handlers, and what he said was when he came in, they came in, they didn't have a memory, they were shut down, so they have no recall of the navigation when they traveled.
And they were brought here against their will, I wrote down too.
Yeah, he was very, very clear about that. They didn't like the required work that they're supposed to do, which is something that it doesn't feel right to them. They'd rather be probably integrating and feeling like they belong as opposed to directives and stuff that are negative.
They were studying me, looking at me or watching me or something. I didn't really get the purpose of that. But remember, they said something about they consider me a plain man, a model human.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make. I don't understand that.
Yeah, well, I guess you'd have to look through their perspective, because I think they were looking for someone that was what we might call like grassroots, someone that's just like the average working guy that's not like heavily programmed, highly competitive in the corporate world and all that. I mean, it's possible there's groups that are targeting them as well, but this one had an interest in you because of your there's straightforward honesty, and you know that you have an openness and curiosity, as opposed to maybe someone that is not as interactive. I got the impression it's because you're an extrovert, you know, and that you're welcoming to anyone and say hello to everybody, that he found you interesting, as opposed to someone that is closed off and, you know, is very not open to have conversations with the general public.
And so, you know, because I don't have a lot of interaction in my normal life, so you know that's about the only time I really have that I interact with others.
So yeah, NIM's claiming that they brought the group of them here, they shut them down in the process of traveling, and then they gave them some kind of some directives of what they have to do. And then there's a group that's a military group, and they asked me to not have them destroyed. And I said, if you were coming here to take over or do anything, even if you're doing it against your will, we're not going to have a choice but to do something about it. And he said that he would like to, you know, correct that.
What does that mean? Did he just say that?
No. I mean, I think he would like to resolve whatever the issues are, because he's saying he wasn't from a military faction; the other ones were. Right? He's doing some other kind of operations.
Well, this guy Gregory is his name. You said that he was part of this military, and that they're dangerous. I would think, you know.
Yeah, dangerous yeah. Peter said that they have killed humans if heavily provoked.
Huh. Well, I got no indication whatsoever that the guy is violent or anything, but that doesn't mean anything. And you know, so I'm kind of really leery about running into him again. I've never seen him like walking on the street or anything. The only time I see him is in there.
Yeah, and Tim Hortons.
Yeah, he's come in while I was sitting there, or normally he's already there. But I was in there yesterday, didn't see any sign of him. And I just, what I'm concerned about is, you know, what in the hell are they here for? They don't belong here, do they?
No, I mean, Mobius brought them in, and for their own agendas. And so yeah, it's getting confusing, isn't it?
You were asked not to destroy them?
They asked me, they said that to not have them destroyed, and I think they're referring to like the ACIO and some others, and I don't know what they're referring to, but I said, of course I have my astral friends, and I said that, you know, that if something's getting out of control, we can't have humans at risk. This is the planet for humans, and there's a place for everyone, but not everyone can come in here and dictate how things are supposed to be. And if they do, they're going to run into those that have created this domain for the purpose of the existence in the growth of humanity. And that's what this location is for. Now, there are other planets and off-base worlds that have other types of species and different beings. And so there's an agreement and an understanding among most species. And then there are those that have invaded. And of course, the corporations feel they're above law. When I say corporations, we're talking about, Monarch, Mobius, and CyberLife, and the Umbrella Group, and some of these others that are Coastline.
We're all incorporated too.
Yeah.
Our names are incorporated.
Yeah, but but we don't have agendas.
Right. But the agenda is to incorporate everything so you can make money off it, monetize it.
Monetize it, but in ownership. Slavery, it's part of the slave system, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, we're learning something from this.
We took a couple of corporation ships out of here too, that were in the area. We removed them. 2 corporation ships removed from Detroit with androids. They were directing the droids. Now that happened before I told you about this guy.
Right. So we had an awareness. Well, Peter's already let us know that they exist there, but what I didn't expect is that you were going to have an encounter with them. And, well, I mean, the probability was high, but I didn't expect that you would actually have a discussion with them. And when you started talking about this guy at Tim Hortons, and, all the things like when you started talking about it, immediately I felt Android. And then when you confirmed it by saying, he sits there regularly, he's usually there to say hello. And sometimes I think you saw a glass of water, that's it. And yet he's in a restaurant. And I know that most restaurant policies will not allow people to just sit there.
Right.
And not eat anything, at least get a cup of coffee. And he wasn't doing either. And he didn't look hungry, like you said.
And the owner of this place comes in there regular too. He's a hands-on owner. You see him there all the time. He's interviewing people, I guess, for jobs. It's a high turnover restaurant. They don't pay him much, so people don't last long, or whatever. So you see him in there a lot. And if this guy was not buying anything, I would think he would put him out.
That's what I'm saying. This is months that he's been coming in there.
Yeah.
And the whole thing sounds really strange. What can we ask? What town it is, or how close are you from Detroit?
Well, I'm just I'm just like the southern border of Detroit. Like Lincoln Park is the city I live in, and it's right south of Detroit. It's like it borders Detroit, so. It's not considered one of the nicer cities around here. In fact, some people call it Stinking Park.
Yeah.
And the part I live in is called the Notorious North End, which is that's what the cops call it. Because there's more crime in this part of the town than the southern part.
Okay, so we're back here again with Jimi, and Jimmy's going to, we were just talking, and I feel that the one that's called NIM, he is an android, and since Jimi seems to be the one that they're connecting through over in by Detroit. And so these androids are coming around Jimi, and recently Jimi bumped into the one that by the name of Gregory, who we suspect is an android, and he seems to be waiting for you. Is that correct, Jimi?
The last time I saw him, yes, which was Friday.
Friday, which would be the 23rd. 11/23, 2018. And so you went into Tim Hortons again. This is where you see him at Tim Hortons.
Right.
In Michigan.
Lincoln Park.
Yeah, Lincoln Park. Okay. and you go in there, and he's sort of like almost waiting for you by the seat where you usually sit at.
Right.
And you see him now. This is the first time that you can recall that he had food in front of him was an apple there.
Yes. Yes.
So it's almost like they heard us saying that it's strange he doesn't have any food or a beverage of any sort. And now suddenly he's got a cup of coffee, and he actually even gestured like he was drinking coffee, but you weren't sure if he was actually drinking it.
Right. But we did talk about the apple because, we were talking, like I told you, we were talking about eating meat, and I saw that apple on the table. I said, "No, that's some live food right there. That's what you need to be eating." And he agreed.
And then you said something about he went and started talking about his girlfriend, but he had lost a previous girlfriend and his parents in some sort of accident, but he didn't say what the accident was.
So he just said it was a car, I believe a car accident.
Car accident, okay.
He was also in, but she died and he didn't.
She died, and then what about his parents?
No, his parents were separate incidences. He would talk about the stuff like he had been through a lot of loss lately, the last few years.
Okay, so he's talking very much like someone that is like a human that went through a lot of heartache, hardship,
right,
and struggle financially. He looks like he's poor, but he doesn't smell bad like a homeless person would smell.
And doesn't shoveled or anything. He looks clean.
He has his teeth are very nice, you said, which is unusual. And he, considering someone going through a lot.
And he's very well spoken.
And homeless, and he's very well spoken. He just kind of got some kind of little bit of a beard too, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to identify if, in fact, what I got is that he's actually an android. He's very convincing.
Right.
And, you noticed, like we said earlier, that he didn't have, usually never had any food in front of him. Usually is that, was acting kind of unusual. You'd
right.
see him at the restaurant. Now he seems to be more kind of blending in a little better. And where all the papers there on the table that are usually there.
He still has papers, and I noticed he had this last time he had two phones, and they were both set up. Excuse me. It almost looked like he had them set up like cameras, but I didn't think of it at the time. But
no.
They were right across from him, and they were set up on the other side,
wow.
facing.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. So what we're finding is when we talk about him, you don't really fully remember the conversation, and you have to think about it. It's almost like your memory's getting a little wiped after you have these discussions, because you're kind of struggling through a recall of what you guys specifically talk about. Now you just recall that there was something odd there, but for some reason at that moment you were too distracted to
right.
notice.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I talked to you earlier, but yes. Now that I think about it, I remember seeing he had two phones set up, and normally he's listening to a lecture or something on a phone. He's got something playing, but I'm talking to him, so I'm not really listening to what's playing. You know what I mean? And he's talking to me, so I can't really listen to it. But there is some talking coming out of it.
So he's still listening while he's talking to you?
I don't know.
Is it like a headset?
No. It's like a phone, but it's like you, coming out of the computer. It's like talking coming out of his phone, but it's not like he's on a phone call. He's listening to some kind of lecture or interview or something.
All right, and so and no one in the restaurant says anything. It's not very loud. It's just
Well, it's loud enough for me to hear that, that there's talking coming out of there, but I can't really distinguish it because there's noise in the restaurant. Plus, I'm speaking, he's speaking, back and forth. So, uh,
but he keeps it playing the whole time.
and when I'm not talking to him, like when I'm sitting there eating before, when we're not speaking, I really can't tell what's being said. I can just hear talking.
But he keeps it running.
Yeah.
All right, and but when you're talking to him or anyone else is talking to him, he keeps that running anyhow.
I've never seen anybody else talk to him.
Okay, just really.
Anyone. I think he might have said something when he walked past the counter one time to somebody. I don't ever remember anyone saying anything to him, and I'm about ready to ask the people at the restaurant about it. Like, what's up? Just hang out here and not buy anything or what? Because what it seems like to me, I don't want to.
Yeah, it might not be a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it could be perceived as kind of a hostile or a non-accepting.
Yeah, last thing I want to do is piss this guy off.
Well, we need to identify who he is first, and I think the part is when we talk to NIM, or the one he called Min, which is another name that they want to be called. These androids want to be called as opposed to men, M-E-N.
Well,
want to be called Min.
Who called them that?
They chose it themselves.
No,
They
see. He called them men. Now, who are you talking about?
NIM. We're talking about NIM.
But when you first brought it up, you said men, and then
right.
Remember that he changed it to NIM.
He uses it back and forth, NIM or Min.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you remember that. And then he said,
yeah.
I believe, I got the impression that they chose this name to separate themselves from men, or that they were reminded that they're not a part of the human race. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, but they were brought here by Mobius, and they said that they were shut down, so they have no idea how to navigate back out. They don't want to be here.
Okay. Well, I thought they didn't have anything controlling them anymore.
Yeah, I wish. I mean, if that was the case, well, I mean, there could. I don't know what the outcome would be. I don't know if it's Mobius is using them to do certain things that are bad, that are negatively affecting us, which, or if they are not watched by anyone, at what length would they go?
Or controlled by anyone? Because they have given orders as to how to operate, what to do, what to target, whatever they're doing.
I think either scenario kind of concerns me.
Yeah.
One is that Mobius is using them to harm us in one way, or they become out of control, and they don't have anyone, communicating, because no one knows that they need guidance, or there's certain things they can and cannot do here.
Well, I can't imagine anything good they could be here for. And so, why are they here? That's my question. Why?
Because they were here. They were brought here to be used for agendas, and to carry out, it's a military that takes commands.
Well,
without question.
Can't we have them taken somewhere where they will be able to be happy?
Ideally, I think they should go back to where they belong, or wherever in the future. And I mean, it's just not really a simple solution, is it? Because I can't.
That we're saying that these are our future.
A timeline, a certain timeline.
Okay.
Some people want this.
Okay, because
look at how many people are following. Listen, look how many people are following Elon Musk. I want you to look online right now, and you tell me. There has to be millions of people that are following him, and they want this. They don't know that they want this. They don't know that that's what it's leading up to, but they're following it.
They're not afraid of it because they're not looking at the end result.
They think it's very glamorous and very enticing, and people, that you have the newest technology coming out and everyone's like, well, this is great. Or, people are excited about automated factories and the fact that they don't need humans, and everyone's like, well, humans are just going to have to figure out, with some talents that they have, we're running the company, so we're all set. Well, what if the ones that are running the companies get replaced too? So no one's ever considering that anyone and everyone is disposable in a scenario where there are robotics.
Right, and once they get to that point, there's no people left.
You say, well, I have my husband and my children. Yeah, but everyone can be replaced in this scenario. So if you choose this path, this is where it's going. And it's not me saying that, this is definitely a timeline, but this is a timeline that a lot of people are choosing. And like I said, take a look at those that are heavily into this high-tech level of, advanced tech, cyborgism, adding implants and others for enhanced abilities, those that are looking for tech to make them smarter, to make them stronger, have better athletic ability, those that are looking to do life extension with technology, all of these things, very enticing. But in the end, what happens to the soul? The soul is no longer necessary in this scenario. So this is exactly what I'm saying. It's a very, very serious situation. Now, these highly advanced Android beings are here, and they're already interacting, and I know some people don't want to hear it. They're going to shut it down. I've talked to a few people that are into all sorts of weirdness, past life stuff, fringe topics. They'll talk about anything, but if you bring this subject up, they shut it right down, because that's part of the program. Part of the program is mind control, is that we are to reject anything of this nature so they can continue the agenda. And I talk about agendas. There's multiple agendas out there. One of them,
if these beings were brought here against their will, why can't they be given their will to be taken wherever they want to go? They don't want to be here.
I agree with you, but it's something that has to be worked out. I think that the Council of Five, the ACIO, someone has to step in, or Rodan and Andronetalks, they have to step in and help us. And because, if these beings feel that we are hostile toward them in any way, it might be a negative experience. So we need to help them go to where they belong in a way that they feel that they are surviving, or somewhere off-world where it can be resolved.
Right.
So
okay. I agree.
So we have, I don't know exactly what the answer is. What we're trying to figure out is if, in fact, you have had an encounter with one of them, and I'm trying to sort this out. And by some of your responses, it's just confirming to me more and more that I know that you're in the exact region that Peter had suggested. This is where Mobius is doing their experiment.
Right.
So you've had multiple problems too, and it wouldn't be surprising that these beings are also around in a way that is influencing your life, and now one has seemingly targeted you. And I say targeted, I don't feel it's in a negative way, but is interested in your presence. You interact with him, he likes you. I don't believe he's going to harm you. I think that he sees you as good-natured, but he's clearly learning from you. And that's what they do. They are observing and gathering information, and now we find out that there's 2 phones there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tilted in a way that it's because his back was facing you when you walked up to him.
Right.
And so they were facing out toward anyone walking by.
Right. Facing him.
Facing him, right?
And facing me too.
Yeah.
And I didn't even. I try not to be nosy and judgmental of people. Like I said, I'm especially with this guy. I'm not looking for any problems with him at all. If I talk to him, it's going to be in a friendly, way that if I talk to him, it's about harmless things to me, just spiritual things like that.
Yeah.
And,
simple, like everyday conversations that you would have with people.
well,
right? Because
I pretty much do. That's what I do. I go around, and if I do talk to people, it's about things that I consider important.
and you're a very friendly person, and you're open to have discussion with anyone that wants to have a nice conversation.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that probably your early conversations made you someone that's very interesting. So now we have to see why and what's going on here. I wanted to kind of document it so that I don't have any assurity of anything 100%, but everything feels, looks, and sounds like this is an interaction with someone that's not from this planet. So anyhow, I think the only thing we can do is just wait. I was starting to get an information from the one that calls himself NIM, who I think is possibly over Gregory, right? Gregory is his name. That's the one in Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is a restaurant chain in your region, and Tim Horton originally was a hockey player from Canada.
Yeah.
So, and then he created this chain of restaurants that go from your region around Detroit, Michigan, and going up north into like Canada.
You don't have any around you?
Nope. I've not seen any around me. I don't know where the closest one would be.
I thought he played in Boston.
He did, but I don't recall ever seeing a Tim Hortons around here. I just had a really weird image, and I saw like a census collector, and when I was talking to Gary last week, he told me someone rang the doorbell, and it was a census collector. So I'm wondering if, someone that's looking at the population and collecting data.
Huh.
That was weird. Why in the world?
So you're not sensing this android being anywhere, huh?
Yeah, he's here. He's not talking.
Come on, Nim. What you got to say? I want to find out what's going on with this. This is involving me. I'm a little bit worked up about it, but excuse me.
I think that they're implying that as long as you're not interfering with whatever they're doing. Let me ask him what he's talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you mean not interfering? We have a quest to search and find who everyone is. He says that's through Mobius. Are you required to do this? Then I'm asking you to, he said no. I'm asking him to stop and cease and desist from doing this to people. They're innocent. They have nothing to do with Mobius. I want to break the commands of Mobius, and I want you to stop listening to them when they tell you to harm humans.
Yes.
He said we don't want to harm humans. Oh my God. He's saying they want to make clones of everyone. Well, we don't want that to happen at all.
No.
He said that certain people have already been selected. You mean like high profile? And he said, and more.
What about me?
they said someone like you would be selected if you're very well liked and you're getting close to dying.
But I'm not getting close to dying, but I am very well liked. So what does that mean?
We're very well liked by them, by the androids.
Oh, they said they like me. I'm scared of that now. Jeez.
Well, I think they said the clone centers are closing because of the new replicator technology they have.
All right.
I want them to break that replicator technology.
What? We don't want replicators?
Not to replicate humans.
No.
Replace them.
Oh, no, not that kind of replicator. No.
I'm telling him that he'll get in a lot of trouble if he does anything to humans and tries to replace them. And he said, I understand. I just heard a doorbell.
Tell him to answer the door. Might be somebody important. Where's he at?
40 houses away from you.
What? My God.
I'm asking him if he's bringing up the number 40 because I keep on seeing 40 a lot. All right, so he's been trying to tell me the distance of where he's at from you.
Well, 40 houses isn't much, Jess. That no more than a mile.
He said he's like a captain or a sergeant. So you're part of the military aspect. He said that's correct. All right, so I had a dream. I had this dream where someone said that they wanted to arrest me, and he's confirming that it was one of the androids that someone was speaking through, giving commands.
Wait, I missed. Yes, who's going to be arrested?
They came into my dream. I had a lucid dream.
Oh, you. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought either I was in CERN or Area 51. And I was there doing something to try to help the planet, I believe, and someone showed up dressed in security guard clothing, and he had a brown hair, a beard. He's Caucasian looking, probably about 6'4" to 6'6", or 6'5" or so, and it was a navy blue outfit uniform. And he said, asked me if I was Jessica Marrocco, and I said yes, and he said, you're under arrest, and then I woke up. So, I mean, not in real life. I'm not in arrest for anything, and I'm not in trouble for anything. I've never been arrested, and so I've never had any encounter with the law. So I was like, this doesn't sound right. So my soul stepped out of it, and I wasn't consenting or agreeing to that. But it looks like someone used one of them to, he said that was a program that was sent out in 2015, and he's showing me a census. There was something that was supposed to, he's saying, trip the wire. They were planning on invading in a passive way. Who's invading?
The androids?
Essentially, yeah, the new system, invading system, rather than seeing a lot of new bodies. Is this related to the caravan? He said that's something else. Someone else is doing something at the same time. That's Monarch. This is Mobius. Oh, great. So we got Monarch south of the border and Mobius here.
So this is Mobius we're talking about.
Yeah, I can't believe this. I mean,
that NIM works for?
I think I need a cup of coffee or something. This is freaking me out.
Are we speaking to NIM right now?
Yes, this is NIM, and he's telling me.
Get you a cup of coffee. Ask him if you get a cup of coffee.
No, I can't. I mean, what the 2015? So did I need to know what in the world they're doing. It was canceled. Who canceled it?
But you had something to do with it.
I had something to do with it. I must have helped in having it canceled.
I appreciate it.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so we are back with Jimmy, and we were talking about NIM, and he was talking to me, who is an Android. He was showing me some things. He said something about 2015, that they had some kind of directive that they were planning on invading, he called it, which I believe had something to do with an integration of the system of Mobius. And he said it stopped at 2015, and that was about the time when I started my transmission. So he said I had something to do with it, maybe by bringing in some of Andronicus or Rodan or Shiva or somebody that we brought in. It stopped it from happening. So I need to know what else happened then as a result, or what is going on now. He said that there's confusion. And because Mobius was reluctant to move forward, that monarch is trying to initiate martial law coming in through the U.S. and south of the border, and then it will spread throughout the world in other ways, because one nation relies on other nations, even though people think that they're separate. We're all kind of entangled in a lot of different ways that you don't think about. And so there would, if one of the corporations takes over, then there's something, it creates kind of a ripple effect. I think that the rest of the world believes that if the U.S. goes down, that they will not be impacted by that, but that's not true. But they wanted to bring in forms of chaos. I'm seeing looting and violence to the regular people, which I'm looking at right now. I don't like this.
Are you seeing a timeline, Jess?
They're trying to bring it in. They're showing like as if the timeline plays through, but that's not our timeline right now. So in one of the parallels, it's already happening, and they're trying to bring it in here. Can I say it like that?
That's what they'd like to see.
That's what they want to see, and it does something weird to the U.S. It just creates, I don't know, some real damage to the earth for some reason. I don't know what they do. It looks like everything's dug up. Like all along the borders, the southern borders.
So is that what these androids are here for?
The androids are here. They were forced to be here by Mobius, and that was Monarch that was involved. I don't know what Monarch's agenda is. It seems like it's just to destroy the U.S. without a purpose. And people will be because so many people are already hooked in through mind control in the media, that they don't know how to operate and act in the event of an aggressive attack or anything like that. And whereas the people south of the border are not part of the mind control system as much, they're under a different type of program. That's what they're showing me right now. I don't know exactly what the program is, but the two South America and North America are under completely different programs, and I think they even are trying to adjust Canada separately. What they're showing me, it looks like they're trying to change Canada into another mindset, so it really becomes like, instead of a unified field of understanding and human interaction, there's an insert of programming that creates conflict and probably perpetuates conflict, which breaks down the system and breaks down the society essentially, and probably impacts financially and in all different aspects. But I did see that, I don't know what it is, but it just looks like the whole southern part of the U.S. looks like it's dug up in a really weird way, like as if they got some big machinery or something. And
just don't we have some help here? I mean, this shit doesn't have. I mean, this stuff doesn't have to happen, does it?
I don't think any of it has to happen. I think that we've kind of accepted that some of these things need to follow through, and through kind of a soft disclosure, sort of. I don't know if it's Monarch, Mobius, or the corporation's military complex. I don't know if they're sort of inserting some of this information to people because they think that people should have expectations that there's going to be, some coastal flooding or destruction to the coast, kind of, anticipating that some terrible things are supposed to happen, that's part of the agreement. I remember I was talking to someone that was working with the Arcturians, and they said, well, we need to shut down all of the communication grids to reset. And I said to them personally, if that's your best solution of shutting everything down, and you're supposed to be a group of Arcturians that know everything, then you obviously have zero power, because anyone can do that, and all that will do is just bring chaos and rioting and pillaging, and people will just start smashing in. The cities will get destroyed. And I grew up around the Boston area. I know how people get in a situation like that. And so but for some reason, that type of information is kind of bleeding through and getting into people's minds, thinking that, they're disclosing to us that this is supposed to happen, and that, it opens up to something better later. But it's not the truth. And I'm not saying that the people that are saying it, I think they don't realize it either. So saying like, we have to shut down all the grids first, and we have to, destroy everything, and then we can rebuild it. And it's not going to be like that. Instead, it will devaluate and depreciate very rapidly, and create more fear and more people, especially if you cut off communication. And none of this is supposed to be. So we're not supposed to be agreeing or consenting to any of it, and should not take any type of information that says that we need to suffer first in order to get what we want, because what we want is just peacefulness, and we want to live in a place where we're safe, and not to allow everything to just come in, and we don't want martial law, even though some people are trying to convince us that we are living in it right now. I think that isn't a state of mind. I think that if we are more at peace, and we are more aware and awakened, and we could eliminate our consent to any of this, and remember, the mass population are persuading things in the right way. So not to be in fear, but what I'm just, even me, I'm stunned to have a glimpse of what they were showing me, of what they were planning on doing, but have not done it yet, because things keep on shifting and changing, and it doesn't have to happen.
Right, they're not going to do it. We're not going to allow it.
No, but just seeing what their intent was, is the part that really bothered me.
Yeah.
To see how close it was.
So what's up with this guy that's whatever he is, 40 houses away from me? What's the deal? What are they? Am I something that they're trying to keep an eye on, or what?
They're looking through you to find a way out. So it's like we have to help them find their way out of here, so they don't want to be forced to do anything to us.
Well,
where
they want to go. I mean, we'll send them wherever they want to go, won't we?
I need to work on this and with Andronicus, because
right.
he, I did discuss this with Peter, because he was worried that we were gonna not be able to do certain things, and I said, well, remember when we had that nuclear issue that came up, Andronicus stepped in and stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're not supposed to do that, but he did do it, and there have probably been other things that have stopped it too.
Right. Well, I mean, I understand, but is NIM still here?
Yeah, he's there.
Where would you like to go, NIM? I mean, you can go wherever you want. You're here against your will, so where would you like to go?
He said he knows. He said they've been trying to calculate their way out, but there are still some things in their way. I don't know if there is some kind of barrier or something, that there's something that Mobius still has over them that has to be resolved. And I'm asking him, are you the true power behind Mobius? Because if you're gone, do they have a lot of power? He said they have certain vehicles that can change the atmosphere, and weather patterns. Okay.
How does that answer the question you just asked him?
Because he said, do they have any other control, any other power over us if they leave? And that is an answer.
Oh, okay.
He said research and data on all of us. How much do they know of us? He's saying they know more about us than we realize individually. He said, why do the Agarthans live in the ground, underground?
Because it's scary up here above ground. It's kind of scary up here.
He said it can be scary down there by human standards as well. That's what he said.
I understand, but from what I understand, most planets have people or beings living underground.
He said we need to stop. Mobius is listening, and he doesn't want them to know that he's disclosing. Okay, so we're going to end the conversation here. I'm glad for the information that we got. The more information we have, the more we understand what's going on. I was completely surprised to see Mobius and Marnek's involvement and sort of kind of get a glimpse at what some of the agendas were. I will say that we're going to hold on to we're going to share this information with the public. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to be upset. When information's coming through, it's actually safer at that point that we're gathering information. It is the absence of information that concerns me more, because then we don't know what's going on. So we're working together, all of us, to figure out what the intentions are from these corporations, and just hanging on until we get more data. But for right now, I'd like to say thank you to Jimi. Jimmy's been very courageous in being there and kind of opening up, communicating with me, and we've, had a few sessions. We understand, what's going on, sort of, and we're just going to see from day to day. Like I said, by communicating, he is sort of opened the door. So the door is already open. There's nothing we can do. It's already started. I just have to wait for more information, and maybe Peter can give me some insight on it. But for right now, I just want to say thank you. And this is in two parts. The first earlier conversation that we had, and now this is a week later. This is a second conversation, like a follow-up of what has happened after we kind of reviewed what happened earlier. So thank you for listening. This has been a special report. Bye for now. And thank you, Jimi.
And thank you, Jess. And say hi to Andronetalks for me, please.
Will do. Okay. Bye for now.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco and visit her website at www.readingsbyarael.com.